And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did crowd for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shivering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewed across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one Murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Please. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome to Blue Please here on CynicalBrits.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. The date today is the 28th of May, 2010. It is 8 p.m. in the British Isles. It's 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 9 p.m. Central European Summertime. It's some other crazy moon time in Australia. I hear that a couple of people actually stay up long enough to listen to this show. They are crazy, and, well, they live in Australia. Of course they are. What are we coming for you in the show today? So very little. I would love to lie and say that I've got a ton of content, but my god, I've been off for 2 weeks thanks to the site hacking. I've come back on, and of course my iTunes has been knocked out, so I've had no emails, I've had nothing in that regard, and I just hoped that Blizzard would either do something utterly outrageous that I could talk about, or they do something cool, or release some information about the alpha. And, well, they didn't. Seriously, I'm going to be digging deep to try and find some alpha information. There must be some somewhere. Gotta be. Someone is willing to spill the beans. I'm going to have a look around over the next couple of weeks and see what I can dig up on it. I have to watch out for the NDAs, but we'll see. We shall see. But yeah, it's been a pretty dull 2 weeks on the WoW front, I'm afraid. Really nothing has happened. I mean, we've had the PTR testing for the new Ruby Sanctum, which has resulted in nothing of worth being released. I mean, there's already a kill video of the damn thing out, and it looks to be fairly dull, honestly. It's sort of a mixture of Sartharian with a little bit of the elements from the Twilight Drakes in there, sort of phase-shifting mechanic, lots of fire, and that really is about it. A whippity-doo-dah-day. I would love to get enthused about that, but quite frankly, it is freaking impossible to do so. Honestly, it is. It's absolutely, utterly impossible to get enthused about such a tiny little instance. Otherwise, oh yes, we had the rogue kill of 25-man patchwork, which reminds me of the things I used to see, like the hunter kill of... what are they? Hunter killed Magmadar and stuff like that. You know, the big stuff. Hunter kills a Corehound on his own and stupid stuff like that. That's all been sorted out. And I am not all that interested in that either, honestly. I wish I was. And of course, AVR mode got broken, but we know all about that. And funnily enough, we actually discussed this about a week before it happened. So you already know my opinions on it. The fact of the matter is, Blizzard decided that no, they don't want AVR mod in the game anymore. They don't want you to be able to draw all over their game. And I suppose there is a bit of potential for abuse there, but really, it's amongst your guild, no more than that. But evidently, Blizzard thinks that it's too far, and they're the authorities on the matter. They think that AVR makes it too easy, and I would, to some degree, agree with them, honestly. I mean, we're talking about a mod that can tell you exactly where to stand, can tell you exactly where things are going to happen. Yeah, evidently, they think that is too much. So, okay, fair enough. there's the call. The call has been made, the line has been drawn in the sand. And I can't really complain about that, because the over-prevalence of modifications turning the game into something less organic than it was, to me, is a little bit harmful to it, especially with raiding. But some people probably don't agree with me on that. Evidently, Blizzard does agree with me on that, so there you go. And there's the remote auction house thing. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. I do have a few choice words on that particular matter. Aside from that, in fact, it's pretty much business as usual. BlizzCon tickets have gone up. I could talk about that, couldn't I? I'll tell you about BlizzCon 2005, which is the one that I went to. And I'll also tell you about BlizzCon 2007 and 2008, which I heard a great deal about. Actually, 2009 as well. And the fact that the ticket price has gone up. Wonderful. Once again, jacking as much money as humanly possible out of there. $150, ladies and gentlemen. That makes it one of the most expensive conventions in the world. I would like to point out just a comparison right here, and I'll talk more in depth about this later in the show. For $150, you get a ticket and a little goodie bag from BlizzCon. Or, for $150, I can get 4 nights camping and 3 days of glorious metal at the Bloodstock Festival down in Derby this year, Bloodstock 2010. That costs £105, which with the current exchange rate is in fact $150. So, full accommodation, 3 days worth of glorious metal, and 4 nights with maybe 10, 20,000 fantastic metal fans. I cannot imagine which of these I would prefer. Good lord. What I will say to everyone is that there will be a Cynical Brit meetup. We had a WoW Radio one last year, and that went really well. Flew the WoW Radio flag. We'll be going down to the Bloodstock Festival 2010 this year for, again, 3 days of glorious metal, including bands such as Behemoth, Meshuggah, Children of Bodom, Twisted Sisters there, Fear Factory, Devin Townsend, Sonata Arctica, Encephalum, Corpiclani, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. Corpiclani is playing on the 3rd day. Ed Guy's there as well. It's looking absolutely fantastic. You want to be there. You really, really want to be there. Cannibal Corpse is there as well. We'll be watching them. And Gwar. Oh, yes. Looks like fun. 105 quid gets you in. That's where we're going. It's down in Derby, 2010, 13th to the 15th of August. And you get the night before there, which is basically festivities and camping and drinking. It's freaking awesome. So, yeah, we're going down there, and if you are remotely interested, there will be a thread on the Cynical Brit forum, which is now fully virus-free, thank God. Thank God indeed. And you'll be able to sign up there, and we'll get the meetup. So, without further ado, anyway, we talked about that, let's talk about this.
That sounds like it's mail time. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to whack my tail. When it comes,
I want to wail.
Yes, indeed, folks, it's mail time. That is time for the mail. Right, I've got some emails here. If you want to send them in, the Murloc at cynicalbrit.com. That's the place to do it. The Murloc at cynicalbrit.com. A lot of this show is going to be email-driven. I am hoping to get back in. I said a couple of weeks ago that I was going to go for the whole Ulduar with level-appropriate gear thing. And I'm going to do that. Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about that whatsoever. The problem is that with the 2 weeks of site downtime, I haven't been able to organise anything. There is now a thread on the Blue Please forum. Yes, indeed. Head over to Dark With the Skies on the Cynical Brit forums, and you can sign up for that if you're interested in getting involved in the Ulduar hard modes with level-appropriate gear. Anyway, here's an email coming in from Cordain, and he has this to say. Hi! With the changes coming to Battle.net and the incorporation of it into WoW, do you think this will change much in-game? They seem intent on changing how the system works a lot, and with the integration of Facebook as well, will our gaming and WoW life become harder to keep separate from out of game? Theoretically, yeah, I suppose it would, but to be honest, I never really made a huge separation between them anyway. It comes down to the fact that WoW is a social game, and I play WoW with people that I also interact with on Ventrilo and Twitter, and if I used Facebook, then I suppose Facebook as well. As it happens, I don't use Facebook. I have a Facebook page. There's a Cynical Brit Facebook, and that's maintained by someone else, so I don't really get involved in that, but I have no problem per se in the integration of Facebook into WoW. Actually, I think that's a fairly good idea. The rationale behind that is WoW is a very social game, and any tool you have to sort of mesh that with your gameplay and indeed your social networking is a good thing. It makes organising raids easier, makes keeping tabs with people. Indeed, it makes getting new friends easier. All of these kind of things. If you want to acquaint with people, this is a good way to start it. And I know there's a social networking service for gamers called Raptor, which I'm told is fairly good, and I might have to end up using at some point in the not-too-distant future. But it's nice, again, to have the Facebook integration, and I assume we'll probably get Twitter integration as well, but that is... I've seen Twitter integration coming into games like Blur, for instance, brand new racing game by Activision, and it's got Twitter integration, and you can tweet all sorts of things. I won this race, blah, 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 blah. I don't give a damn, honestly. I really don't. I know, I had people on my Twitter raging about answering the questions, you know, with the form spring that I had going on. But it comes down to the fact that I don't want my Twitter feeds covered in, I just earned this achievement. So perhaps telling Blizzard to get involved in Twitter would be a very, very bad idea indeed. It would be pretty horrendous. To be honest, the Facebook integration with Battle.net 2.0 with StarCraft 2 has been piss poor. It's bad. It is really, really not very good. It doesn't work properly. It serves really no practical purpose whatsoever, and they've got rid of the easy way to add people, i.e. via their name and ident. That's gone now. You have to add their full email address, which of course also reveals their real name. At some point, some people do get a little bit testy about that. On the flip side, there is an advantage to using that. There's a Real ID broadcast feature, which is effectively like an in-game Twitter, whereby you can broadcast a bunch of stuff through to anyone that's on your Real ID friends list. I would kind of like to see that in-game, honestly. That would be kind of cool. But one has to wonder why you would take all of these silly social integration systems whereby a simple chat room is way, way more efficient. But hey, there you go. Like I say, I don't see it as an inherently bad thing per se. The separation of real life and WoW to me has never really existed. I don't mind talking about WoW with other people in real life. I don't throw it in their face. I mean, that's a very sort of Asperger's thing to do. Not really taking into consideration the interests of the other person in the conversation. And as it happens, some of the people I know in real life aren't interested in WoW. Some are. Those who are, I'll talk about it with them. Those who aren't, I'll just keep it out of the conversation. That's called being not so much socially adept as, well, it's the exercise of social common sense, really, isn't it? But with people on Facebook, I mean, for God's sake, they're already playing stupid games and inviting me to play Mafia Wars and Farmville and all that other garbage and sending videos all around the place. Let's face it, they're all nerds, every last one of them. Some of them less so than others, some more so than others, no doubt about it. But the fact of the matter is, you're playing video games on the internet and you're talking with people named TotalBiscuit and LeetPwnzo420. You are, by the old school definition, a nerd, and there's really no doubt about that. So, yes, WoW is going to come into play at some point, obviously. Right, let's see what else we've got. What do you think about the heroic points? Will they just end up the same as the emblems, or will they actually work this time? Well, yes, they will end up the same as the emblems. We had this discussion earlier, and the reason is that the only thing this is doing is creating a sense of convenience for everyone and making it so that you don't have to deal with 4 different types of badges. And think about it right now. You've got to... If I wanted to buy some Valor gear, which I actually probably will do, because I'm creating all the level-appropriate stuff, I'd have to take my Triumph, turn them into Conquest, and then turn them into Valor. So that's a little bit of a hassle, and if for some reason I wanted then Heroism badges, which generally speaking you do if you want to get heirlooms, then I'd have to do it to Conquest, then to Valor, then to Heroism, and it's a total pain in the ass. So it is exactly the same. For the first couple of instances, it's going to work properly, as in, you know, best gear, blah blah blah, and you get appropriate rewards. But then once they start adding in the second tiers, they'll bump everything up one. We have exactly the same problem that we've got with Wrath, whereby people get gear they don't deserve, and as such don't put in as much effort into dealing with the harder content, because hey, I can just wait a little bit down the line and just take the gear by doing absolutely nothing, and indeed trying to force people back into instances and 5-mans that quite frankly they don't want to go to because they're garbage is not a good way to make things happen. But hey, that's Blizzard for you. I really honestly have no idea what their plan is there. They seem to believe that their system right now works, which is odd because no one else seems to believe that. But hey, it's Blizzard. They will do whatever they damn well please, and there's really not an awful lot we can do about it. And I'll be honest, it's not the worst thing in the world. There are many, many more things they could do horribly wrong with Cataclysm. Really, really badly wrong. I'm hoping that they don't, but you never know. So we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll see how the situation progresses in that regard. Right, let's see if I've got anything else in the mailbag before we go to the break. Here's one question from Jonathan Spencer, a.k.a. Saracen. At least I think it's Saracen. Oh, there's a sneaky shout. I don't know. One way or the other. He says, what I've been thinking about recently is simply that so many raiders have been raiding for so long that they just aren't nearly as interested in the content as they used to be, and we're getting sick of instances sooner and sooner. My question for you is there anything Blizzard can really do about that? Is it even possible for Cata to be amazing past the first 2 months? Personally, I would think that they will invariably end up with the same boss encounters and everyone will get burned out fairly soon. The heart of the issue is really that the boss encounters are not nearly dynamic enough. They don't change enough from boss to boss to keep my interest after a first few kills. So perhaps my real question is this. With people having such lower tolerance for running the same instance over and over again, is Cataclysm screwed over before it even gets a real chance? Arguably, yes. It comes down to, are you sick of raiding? If you are sick of raiding, then yeah, you might get sick of Cataclysm, because it's going to be the same old kind of raiding. But it's going back to the TBC style of raiding, just bear that in mind. It's trying to perfect the TBC style. It's got the multiple instances from the get-go. It's got the hard modes now from the get-go, from launch. That's a big deal. That may help, honestly. It's still binary hard modes, which is not as good, but I'm thinking maybe hard modes from launch and a proper progression path, as well as multiple instances per tier, will make the difference. If there's enough content to begin with, which it looks like there is, I mean, we're talking about 1 recycled crappy instance and 3 1 bosses versus 3 fully fledged instances and 1 1 boss. That's what we're up against right now, and all that stuff is brand new. So I would think Cataclysm will launch better and will hopefully be more enjoyable. Obviously, I can't really guarantee that, but we'll see what happens, and all we can really do is hope. Otherwise, I suppose we're going back to TDO. My name is TotalBiscuit. You are listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com. Send your emails into the mail at CynicalBrit.com. Right, so I've got a track from the new Night Rage album. It's called Shed the Blood, and I'll be right back after this. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Please. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com.
Friend, I've got what you need. A premium quality Ventrilo server from UGTservers.com. It's goblin engineering, you see. Not like those inferior gnome products, always backfiring. If you're short on cash, you can even share the cost of the server with Guild Deposit. Have those lazy guildies of yours pay their dues. You know, I could offer you this amazing electric cattle prod that'll really get them moving.
UGTservers.com. Voice communication for your guild. Get yours today. Yes, indeed, folks. You are listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Right, well, as I say, it's a content light show today, but I do have something to talk about, no doubt about that, and if you want to send an email, you can do so in the mail at CynicalBrit.com. That's the place to do it. Now, before I go on, I want to mention something fairly cool. So, I'm currently in negotiation with a company who I'm not going to name at the moment. I can tell you about it once it's actually fully sorted out, but I will mention that it is happening, so just so you've got advance notice there may be some changes going on. So, a company asked me to anchor their StarCraft 2 website, and they're setting this up, and it's going to be a premium StarCraft 2 broadcast site, and it's going to be a paid position, which will involve me doing basically what I'm doing now, but I'll be doing it on their site. This is just the StarCraft 2 stuff. All the rest of it, like Blue Please and everything, stays exactly where it is. The nice thing that you guys will get, for one thing, part of the contract will involve me writing a couple of blog posts a week on the subject of StarCraft and doing a StarCraft 2 podcast. So I will be thinking of something for that, and hopefully over the next few weeks. So, yeah, I say, it's going to be an interesting position, and it's going to be nice to get paid for the work, and that means hopefully more content for you guys, and more importantly, better equipment, because, hey, the pay's good, I can invest it into some even better gear, which means you guys get much, much, much better quality stuff. So yeah, just making you aware of that, and I will give you more news on it over the next couple of weeks as we get through all the legal stuff, get everything signed, and we'll see how it goes. But yes, Blue Please ain't going anywhere, that I can promise, and it's going to stay right where it is. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this auction thingy. So, a while ago now, there was an announcement, and that announcement said there's going to be a remote auction house. And the function of this was to allow you to sell and buy and browse the auction house without actually being in-game. Now, when it first was announced, I was in favour of it, and indeed I still am. In principle, I'm still in favour of it, as in, this is a really neat, cool system. It is. It's a really awesome idea. Now, why is it an awesome idea? Well, a lot of people have complained about it, but then again, this is the WoW community. They'll complain about literally anything. The idea in question is cool. You're talking about being able to deal with something that is more dependent on time than anything else. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you want to try and control the auction house in any real way, you have to be able to do so in real time. We're talking about manipulating prices, we're talking about buying low, selling high, day trading, we're even talking about just trying to get stuff on the cheap. If you're selling your wares and things like that, you really have to be on and at the auction house, standing there for a long time, and no one wants to do that, really. You don't want to stand at the auction house if you have the opportunity to do it elsewhere. There are a number of different advantages to not having to do that. Perhaps not least is the fact that it's not as boring to maybe do it on your iPhone on your lunch break, or access it via the web on your lunch break, or at work or whatever, do it while you're out at the library, or just being able to do that kind of thing on the go without logging into the game. Logging into the game is a little bit of a commitment. We're talking about the fact that you've got to log yourself in, load your game up, run off to the auction house, buy and sell, run backwards and forwards to the mailbox, and all that bloody nonsense. It's a pain in the ass. So simplifying that is cool. And in principle, on that basis, I'm in support of that. It also helps to sort of even the playing field just a little bit between guys who can spend all day on the game and guys who can't. Say, myself, I work a full-time job, and if I had an iPhone, this would be useful to me. I mean, the web-based version isn't, because, hey, most of us that work in an office will have that kind of thing blocked. But if I had, say, the iPhone version, I would be able to muck about with it, and I'm hoping they bring out some versions for other OSs like Android and Symbian. That would be really nice. A BlackBerry version would be cool too. If I was able to do that on my phone, then yeah, absolutely, that sounds like a great idea. It'd be really handy for my lunch breaks and my commutes, which are on the train, and obviously I do a lot of walking home, so it'd be kind of cool to browse the auction house while doing the 20-minute walk home from the train station every day. I'd be cool with that. However, as cool as this idea actually seems to be, I have a number of concerns, and to be honest, the biggest concern has got to be the fact that they've decided to tag not just a price tag, but a monthly price tag onto this thing. I'd like to say I was shocked, but that would be a lie. I'm not shocked by anything that Blizzard does anymore. And we've already seen that Blizzard are willing to exploit people for everything they can get. They put a $25 reskinned horse into the game, and people lapped it up. It is only a matter of time before a bunch of elements of the game become microtransaction, assuming that people will tolerate it. Personally, I won't tolerate it if parts of the game that I want involve me having to pay for them. And we're talking about, say, if there's a premium instance or a class race combination or anything like that, something that should have been put in there for the subscription fee. In the case of this system, what you've got is something that required them to hire a new development team to do it. They needed a bunch of mobile developers. That was said so in a blue post, specifically. There was information about that. I'm sure there was a blue post around here somewhere. I've probably lost it now. Whatever the case. Ah, yes, there we go. No, that's not it. Whatever the case. They basically said that they had to hire a new development team for that, and this was to cover the development costs, and I'm fine with that. Here's the thing, though. It's to cover the development costs. Last I checked, those costs are done now, right? The development's finished. The app works. So, unless they're going to be now developing it for other OSs, and that's going to justify paying $3 a month forevermore, I might add, if you want to keep this service, then I don't really see how that is actually justifiable. That's the thing. I'll tell you what this is, in my honest opinion, folks, and that's what you want, that's what you come to this show for. This, to me, is a stealthy way to increase the subscription fee for a portion of the player base. It's a stealth tax. Simple as that. What you're talking about is a system that is incredibly desirable, and because you are giving it to people, other people feel the need to have it. This is way beyond the whole TRH thing. Like, I want that horse because the friend's got it. This is, oh god, this app is actually negatively affecting my game, and in order to be as competitive as these guys on the auction house, I now have to buy this app. And not only do I have to buy it, but I've got to pay for it every single month in order to maintain equality with the rest of the player base. This is beyond peer pressure. This is actual in-game pressure. In order to be competitive, you have to have the app. It's as simple as that. Any one of us that goes to work and can't just log on to WoW whenever he damn well feels like it. Even more so than last time. Because now what you're doing is you're increasing the number of people that can effectively be on the auction house 24/7. Of course, they're not going to be there 24/7 per se, but they have access to it wherever they are and just whenever in the day. Whereas before they didn't. Which means that changes the entire landscape of the economy. There's no doubt about it. Now, there is a limit on how many auctions you can have, but it's in the hundreds, as I recall. So, it's not like it's a case where, oh god, you're going to use this thing and you'll be able to do thousands and thousands of auctions, and you think, well, okay, that's good, right? I mean, that stops the auction house being manipulated. No, it doesn't at all. It really, really does not. Let's be honest. You're talking about now a large chunk of the player base who will be able to buy and sell anywhere they are, where otherwise they would not be. And if you do not think that's going to affect the economy, then you're crazy. And here's the thing, Blizzard knows this. They are well aware. Blizzard are not dumb. Never ever assume that. Blizzard may make a questionable decision every now and again, but they're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing here. They are introducing a service that's not just desirable, but it's effectively required in order to be competitive now on the AH. Consider. It was pretty bad before selling enchanting scrolls and things like that. I mean, the enchanting market is a prime example. That is an example of undercutting all the time. And you know why? Because enchanting scrolls cost nothing to list. So it's a market, it's a constant horse race between people. Like, oh god, this guy is listed for 1 copper less, his stuff will sell, and then of course someone goes a copper under that, then a gold, then 10 gold, and blah blah blah, and the whole freaking market slides down the tube in about 20 minutes, and you're forced to pull your stuff off, put it back on, pull it off, put it back on again. For me as an enchanter, doing that as much as possible is effectively required for me to be competitive on the auction house and actually sell my wares. Because if I don't do that, then I'm not going to sell as many by any stretch. And that means I can't mill the money that I need to get more resources, and I can't disenchant the greens that I need to make more stuff, and then of course I can't sell enough of my product to really be worth the time. Now, with this thing, if I had this remote auction house, that would allow me to be way more competitive. I'd be able to check it, say, every 10 minutes if I wanted. Oh, look, this guy's done that. Pull it off, relist, there we go. Easily done. The problem that I've got with this is that if I can't do that, then I'm pretty much driven out of the marketplace. If a significant number of people on my server start using this app, and some of them are enchanters, there is no freaking way I'm going to be able to sell anything. Let's be totally fair here. That's exactly what's going to happen. Think about it. Let's just say there's 5 enchanters on the server that have this thing. And, of course, they've got it on their iPhone, they're walking around with it. It's like, oh, what am I doing? I've got a spare 10 seconds. I'll check the auction house. How many auctions doing? Oh, TotalBiscuit has undercut me. Okay, that's fine. Pull it off, bang it back on again. A little bit cheaper. There you go. Bob's your uncle, and all that kind of stuff. You can, bear in mind, you can create auctions for your bags, your bank, or your mailbox. So you can fully automate the process of pulling off undercutting. Really, really simply, and anywhere that you are. Me? I work like a lot of people do. I've got a 9-to-5 job, and I'm out of the office from 8 to 6. I'm out of the house from 8 to 6. I don't have access to the auction house in the meantime. So, for me, and people like me, this undoubtedly gives the edge to people that can use the remote auction house. And it is a significant and quantifiable in-game disadvantage to those who don't. Blizzard knows this. Blizzard and Activision are very keenly aware of the effect this is going to have, and they want it. And you want to know why they want it? Because they have just given themselves an excuse to raise the subscription fee by $3 and dodge most of the negative press and everything like that in the process. Because if they actually upped their subscription fee, people would leave in droves. But they're not actually upping it, are they? They are upping it in such a way that you don't have to have it, but if you don't have it, it's an in-game disadvantage. So you want to have it as much as you can. This is beyond the desire for that stupid blue sparkly horse thing. This is, if you don't get this, you are going to have a less enjoyable WoW experience. Simple as that. If you do not spend $3 extra, take a subscription fee up to $18, and I have no idea what price they're going to have it in the UK or in Europe. I imagine Europe's going to get the shaft. They generally do. If you do not buy this option, if you do not increase your sub fee, then you are in trouble. Because other people, they'll do it. No doubt about it. They will do it. They will take this legitimized in-game advantage. They will happily take it. And they will exploit it for everything it's worth. And again, don't get me wrong. If they released this app or this service with a one-off fee, I would have less of a problem with it. It would still be an issue. No doubt about it. Because even if it was for a one-off fee and I bought it, I don't have an iPhone and I can't access this kind of thing at work. You know, there must be hundreds of thousands of players that are in exactly the same situation as me. So this existing negatively impacts my play experience, regardless of whether or not I would actually pay the subscription fee for it, because I can't use it. I can use it at home, but what's the point? I got access to WoW right here. Can't use it on the go. So, while I like the idea of this, and while I do see it as leveling the playing field with those guys who have an awful lot of time on their hands, it's still causing equality. But this time, inequality even. This time, it is monetized inequality. Someone at Blizzard is an evil genius. There's really no doubt about it. They've managed to take the fact that there was inequality in the marketplace based on how long people play and how often they have access to the game, and they've managed to make some money off of it. It's unbelievable when you think about it, isn't it? But hey, there you go. They will go to any lengths they can, and they are masters at hiding it. They have hidden a stealthy increase. They have created a new strata of player. You've got to accept this. People that pay $18 a month, they're now effectively on premium accounts. It's as simple as that. They have been given, for the benefit of that premium account, an in-game advantage. So, what exactly comes next? The slippery slope argument can often be argued as a fallacy, but really, when will this end? This is beyond what they've done before, way, way beyond. And it's a nice service. It's a great app. I don't have any problems with it in principle, but just look at what it's gonna do. I've got a real problem with that. My name is TotalBiscuit. You are listening to the one and only Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com. I am going to be right back after this, folks. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Please. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com. Yes, indeed, folks, listen to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Right, okay. Oh, God. I'll tell you, you might have noticed over the past 6 months or so that I've had a lot of issues with the back of my throat and my nose. some weird stuff being going on with that. I'm actually going to get laser treatment for it, funnily enough. They're going to stick a laser up my nose and cut bits out of it. It'll be kind of crazy. But hey, at least I can say someone shot lasers up my nose. That's not something that everyone can say. That's a nice little bit of dinner party conversation, I feel. Whatever the case. So, right, let's talk a little bit about BlizzCon, shall we? So, BlizzCon has been announced as we expected it would, and it has been announced to be $150 For what exactly? So I assume it's going to be, 3 days now? Because, of course, back in the day, it used to cost 100, and it was 2 days, so it's 150, we got a 50% increase in price, so it's 3 days, right? What do you mean it's not 3 days? What do you mean it's 2 days? What do you mean it's the same damn place? What do you mean there's going to be just as many exhibitions as there was last year? What do you mean you're charging more for no apparent reason? Well, yes, they are. I've been to BlizzCon. Some of you, no doubt, have been to BlizzCon as well. So let's talk a little bit about it and work out why exactly they think they can actually justify this. So, BlizzCon is a big deal for a couple of reasons. First reason, you get to play new Blizzard games. So, in this case, it'll be Diablo 3 and maybe a little bit of Cataclysm if it's not in beta by that point. I mean, at the moment, we're still in alpha. Beta opt-in is available, but I don't expect it to launch before BlizzCon as they promised, honestly. I'm still saying November. My money is still on November. So I will probably see it then. But yeah, I suppose you'll probably get a little bit of Cataclysm if you care about that. Maybe play the starting areas. Maybe do a little bit of raiding. A couple of dungeons, maybe. But that's about it. I know they're probably going to announce their new title this year. I know they said they were going to do something. They were hiring for it. There's a lot of rumours surrounding it. They'll probably announce that, but I very much doubt it'll be playable in any real form. So, as regards to what you can play StarCraft, which you can already play because that's coming out in July. You can play Diablo 3, okay? And you can play maybe a bit of Cataclysm, and that's it. So, 2 games. Fair enough. What else? Well, we've got the panels. Except all the panel information and the videos for it are available elsewhere. I mean, the video coverage was terrible last year because they gave it to DirecTV, of course. Pah. They have no idea what they're doing. Indeed, we were restricted from it, and as a result, everything went to hell with that. A lot of people from WoW Radio are very annoyed by that. In fact, I would say that contributed to the demise of the group, honestly. It really killed our morale. I don't think we ever recovered from that. A lot of people didn't really want to concentrate on Blizzard games after Blizzard snubbed the hell out of us, and every other fan site, I might add. So I don't really blame them. So there's the panels, which involve you sitting around and seeing some guy talk who's not very good at talking for an hour about a video game, maybe showing some slides and footage. Not exactly the most intriguing thing, is it? I mean, it's not like you're getting a sit-down Q&A with a bunch of celebrities here, like, say, you would at other conventions like DragonCon and even Star Trek conventions, where, the actual actors get up on stage and talk, and the writers and everything. That's kind of a big deal, but video game developers, honestly, and just one company, more importantly. We're not talking about some of the really good stuff that you can see at PAX and the GDC and the E3, where you get round tables of various developers actually having it out on a variety of really interesting issues. That's not what you're getting here. You're getting a controlled marketing piece from Blizzard over the course of an hour with some pretty awkward Spurgeon questions from people in the audience that, quite frankly, should not be out in public, let alone trying to speak in front of a room of people, stutter, stammer, and blare. God, please put the Cheetos down for a second, people. So you've got that, and you've got the thing, and what else you've got? You have a wide variety of people trying to sell you overpriced merchandise. Awesome. I have that. It's called the internet. They do that to me all the time. We have stores and shops and all that kind of thing. You know what? I don't have to pay for the privilege of being sold things, because that to me seems a little odd. Yes, indeed. And the last and perhaps the most vital thing, the most important, the most entertaining part of the whole experience, for me, I've been there once, was supposed to go twice, got deported as a terrorist, you know how it goes. Whatever the case. The biggest thing for me, when I went, was meeting people. And you know what? I can meet people anywhere, at a way less expensive location. Bear in mind, we're talking about Anaheim here. Anaheim's like a nice end of that particular state, to my knowledge. It looked nice, it seemed to be, and the hotels around there are pretty damn expensive. So not only are you paying that, you're paying your flights and your travel costs to get there, and you're paying for your food, which invariably is expensive in that area, and you're also paying for your BlizzCon ticket and whatever merch. You're spending a huge amount of money on something which, let's be honest, is not a great convention. It isn't, I'm afraid. I would like to say that it is, but it's not. I don't have the desire to immerse myself that far in World of Warcraft that I need to go to BlizzCon. Honestly. I've been there once, and one time was enough. I saw what there was to see, and they are not really demonstrating to me that they're going to improve anything at all this time around. Still 2 days, still the same convention center, which probably means still the same exhibitions, the same panels that I could read about on MMO Champion with all of the fluff cut out. So why even bother? There's a lot of different conventions in the States, and the States are the place for them. It's not something that you really get outside of the States all that often. There's a couple in the UK, but there's not a convention culture. There is a real culture over in the States whereby you can have a convention for almost anything. Here's the thing. This is one of the most expensive conventions outside of actual business cons that you go to for real networking and lectures and seminars. For a consumer convention, this is bloody expensive. I mean, seriously. Look at the price for packs. You know? Any of them. Way, way cheaper. Dragon Con, way cheaper. Any of those other conventions, the geek-orientated stuff, Comic-Con, way cheaper. This is the most expensive convention surrounding this kind of thing that I could ever possibly think of. So, to me, it comes down to meeting up with people. Now, I can meet up with people wherever the hell I damn well please. When it comes to guildies, when it comes to people in-game, you'll run into WoW people every now and again. It's fairly easy to organise meetups that don't cost an absolute fortune. Now, I understand BlizzCon is sort of like the centrepiece. It's the social event of the season. Yeah, it's the anti-social event of the season. God, the smell. Oh. I like to say that BlizzCon shows to the entire world that WoW geeks are not, in fact, the stereotype. They're not all overweight, smelly, unhygienic, socially awkward bastards. But, generally speaking, that is not the case. They are. They really are. A huge chunk of people are, and... God, I felt like the most sophisticated, most socially adept person in the world when I went to BlizzCon 2005. I really did. Not everyone's like that, but there is a sizable chunk of people that you would not otherwise meet, and it ends up you feeling really, really bad for them, I suppose. It's not good. The concept of meeting up with guildies is a cool one, but it's so easy to do it. It really is. There's no other explanation for this other than Activision Blizzard want to get as many dollars out of people as possible. To me, the BlizzCon has got to be way, way better than this in order to justify it. You think about it. Think about the arrogance. Consider it for a second. One company has it's a games company, incidentally, has an entire convention based around their games alone. We're not talking about some kind of collaboration. It's not like it's an active BlizzCon. You know what? If it was an active BlizzCon, I could probably go for that. I mean, Activision do put out some good games, even though they are right now a really, really horrible publisher. And for God's sake, one just came out today that I actually want, and I can't get, because for some reason it's not available on UK Steam yet. It's called Blur. It's a powered-up racing game. It's like kart racing, but it's by the guys who made Project Gotham and Metropolis Street Racer, which I really like. But it's got power-ups, but real cars. I really want that game. I would love that game. But for some reason it's not available on UK Steam. I don't know why that is. It's available in the US, but not in the UK, and that is weird. Whatever the case, they do make some good games, and if they combine the two, if it was an active BlizzCon, then I could get behind that to some degree, because at least there's more to do. That's what I recall, honestly, from BlizzCon 2005, and this is what I was even told by BlizzCon 2009. Bear in mind, this should be the busiest BlizzCon of them all, with the most activities, was that by day 2 people were bored stiff. Most of them wandered around the con the first day, then just wandered around Anaheim for the second day. They didn't even bother with the con on the second day. They went to the concert maybe at the end, but a lot of people didn't even do that. They just hung around the courtyard talking to people. You know, if I want to hang around the courtyard talking to people, I'm certainly not going to pay $150 frickin' in order to do it. That is dumb! So very dumb! You can socialise for free. To me, it's like a bit of exploitation of people that are generally socially awkward. Yes, these are the kind... I'm not going to turn around and say every WoW player is the kind of person that has to pay for sex. But no, that's not the case, and we know that. But think about it for a second. Think about this as an analogy. There are some very socially awkward people out there that can't get a date that will pay for sex. This is even worse. This is some very socially awkward people that can't get a friend who are paying to speak to people in a social environment. Is that not terrifying? It is to me. I find that unbelievably terrifying. Now, I'm not saying that this is every person. Indeed, it may even be the minority of people that go to BlizzCon. There's a lot of very nice, very social people that go there. But does it not feel... It smells funny to me. And not in the Cheetos body sweat kind of way. It smells like Blizzard know their audience, and they know that there's a awkward area of their audience that might have quite a bit of money to burn. And you know what? They're going to make a convention to get that money out of them. And they're going to do it by offering a pleasant social experience. But it's not really much of a social experience when you're paying so much in order to do it, and there's so few activities. And when you go to a music festival, you can work out the value of that. Say, Bloodstock. I mean, look at the lineup of that. So let's have a look. Say, I'm going to see you at Bloodstock 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8... 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 bands on the list so far that I actually want to see. Indeed. 13 bands. And it's going to cost me £105. So you do the math there. Now, that's easily less. That's about £7 or £8 a band. And bands like Twisted Sister, you pay £25 to £30 just to see them. And then, of course, you get the camping in there as well. That's a damn social experience. That's actually good value for money. When you look at BlizzCon as value for money, it falls so far short. It doesn't have the activities to justify it being value for money. We're not talking about quality time here that you can invest in doing something really cool. No, that's not what you get to do. All you get to do is watch some panels, play a couple of Blizzard games that are in an incomplete state, and talk to people. And that is not worth $150. It's not even a big LAN party. We're not even talking about DreamHack here. There is no mass gaming. We're talking about a limited amount of time mucking about with some incomplete games. It's not a case of you being to sit down for 2 days with your computer or renting a computer or whatever to play a bunch of games with people. You don't get the opportunity to do that. It's so limited. I mean, you're lucky if you even get a game of StarCraft before you send right to the back of the line again. As I say, it smells like a little bit of exploitation to me, and when it was first brought into play in 2005, I had concerns that they wouldn't have enough to show. It's like, what are they going to do? Honestly, what are they going to do? Well, the answer was they're not going to do anything. They're going to rely on you to make your own fun there. If I want to make my own fun, I'm not going to pay for it. It's as simple as that. It's nonsense. It really is. Now, I understand why people want to go, and if you guys are already planning your trips and everything, well, good for you. If you enjoy yourself there, that's fine. But just consider for a moment there are probably better places to go, and indeed, I know Octel and Hordak are actually organising a big trip over to Vegas at the same time as that, and funnily enough, it's probably going to cost you less money. So you might want to go and have a look at that. VGWProductions.com. Click on their forum. There's a Vegas thread. And there are so many other great conventions and indeed gaming expos like PAX available to go and have a look at that are just so much better. So why don't you diversify out a little bit and actually consider doing that? It's an experience, don't get me wrong. But if you've already been once, I think you know exactly what's in store, and I have no interest in going again. My name is TotalBiscuit. You're listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com. We'll be right back after the break to answer some emails, if we've got any. 2 weeks off the air with no working iTunes is bad for the mail pack. There's really no doubt about that, so I'm sure you guys will fill it up over the next few days. Okay, let's play some 1 minute silence because it's 1 minute silence. I don't need an excuse for that. This is called Food for the Brain. It may contain strong language. Enjoy. You are listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Please. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com. Yes, indeed, folks, you listen to Blue Please here on CynicalBrit.com with myself, TotalBiscuit. Right, go to the mailbag for the time being. Probably be a shorter show once again. I wish I had more to talk about, but with the alpha in progress, and it's like, oh no, we can't tell anyone that. And I would love to talk about leaks on this show, but I'm going to have to really look into the NDA and just see what would happen if I did. Let me put it that way. I'm not part of WoW Radio anymore. I'm certainly not part of the fan site program, so I'm not really bound in any way to listen to what Blizzard has to say, but it also comes down to a matter of respect. As much as I bash on them, I don't go out of my way to screw them over. I feel that there's a certain degree of honour involved in that. But we'll see what we can do. If we can actually discuss anything and not get into huge amounts of trouble for it, then I will give it a bash. Okay. Right then. So, let's have a look at the mailbag and see what we have here. It's an interesting question. Well, sort of. It's from I can't pronounce that name, so I'm not going to try. Someone beginning with a Y on the VentureCo EU. Dear host of shows!
You dare look upon the host of souls! I shall devour you all!
Yes, dear host of shows, on the release of Cataclysm, what areas do you think will be on the classic packaging box? I.e. not Cataclysm, or if they will even change at all. If they never change the packaging inside of the in-game screenshots, Blizz could be sued for false advertising, technically. Do you think they will overlook this? No, they couldn't. Game experience may change upon online play. That's the only real disclaimer you need. Do I have a WoW box around here? Let me go and have a look and see if I do. I would like to actually know what screenshots are on it and what changes they're going to be. Let me have a look around. I'm all the way over here now. That means I'm going to shout. Yes, indeed. Project the voice. Yes, TotalBiscuit, do it. Where are my WoW boxes? Aha! Here's one. This will do. This is my... Oh, god damn, that's a bunch of CDs. This is my original WoW box. Yes. This is my Horde one. What have we got? Well... let's have a look inside, shall we? So, there's a generic snowy area, which has Tibu's blazing longsword, and there's a little bit of false advertising for you. This sword you will never, ever get. Well, there's been any major UI changes, doesn't appear to be. There's a goblin shredder guy, and here's the thing. These screenshots were already out of date when the game actually came out. You remember the dragon screenshot, yeah? The one with the elves and the elf that was basically a demon hunter with the demon hunter blades. You can never ever get those. Those items, to my knowledge, are not weapons you can ever acquire in the game. At all. And they're not even the same as the war blades of Azeroth. It's completely different. You've got a rifle there which appears to shoot fire, and you also have a red dragon in the middle of a forest, which doesn't exist either. So... let's be totally honest here, it doesn't matter. It doesn't make a blind bit of difference. Game experience may change. Now, do you think they are going to turn around and then re-release the box? Yeah, sure, why not? I don't see why not. I mean, it seems to me the ideal time to put together a compilation box with either with Cataclysm or with the other two expansions. So now you get into a situation whereby, in order to play the entire game, you need to buy the box plus 3 expansions. There is a battle chest, but I don't think it includes Wrath right now. So I would imagine they'll probably battle chest the first 2 expansions and then sell Cataclysm on its own. They won't bundle it otherwise, because it's just reducing their potential profit margin, I would think. Are they going to change the screenshots? Well, again, they may take that opportunity to re-release the box, because that means they get more shelf space. EVE Online's done it. It's very effective. They did a limited re-release, which involved a 60-day time card, a bit of a bonus, and a different box. So, they get shelf space, which they didn't get before. And you can say whatever you want about the diminished capacity of the PC market in the retail space, but it still exists, and there are actually a lot of countries, mine included, whereby a significant chunk of a gaming store will be dedicated to PC products. Mine is assuredly one of them. I walked into the game and bought a copy of Supreme Commander 2, and I also bought a copy of Ninja Blade. I did that ironically. They were on sale, and there were at least 3 shelves worth of PC stuff, and they had a chart of all the new releases. So if I wanted a new PC game, I could walk into a shop and get it. But yeah, don't underestimate the desire to acquire parts of the retail space and get them on display, and indeed get the requisite advertising that comes with it. They will probably change it around, but it certainly won't be for legal reasons. So get that out of your head right now. Okay, let's see what else we've got. Here's one. Interesting. Right, okay. So there are 2 questions here. One's actually about StarCraft. I'll make it fairly brief. This one's from Lavernius, and he says this: the Phase 1 beta of StarCraft 2 has been prolonged until the 7th of June. Do you have any thoughts on this, and do you think they'll fix the Battle.net system during the downtime, or during Phase 1 part of testing? Probably during the downtime, honestly. I have a feeling they'll need to bring the whole thing down for ages to work out what the hell's wrong with it. Those of you not aware, StarCraft 2 has been totally balked lately. If you thought WoW's mistakes were bad when you had broken instances, good God. Battle.net 2.0 in patch 12 or 13 or whatever the hell we're in right now, dropping players at random, disconnections, crashes, they've completely ruined the friend system, and replays beyond, at least behind the current patch now do not work, whereas they did before. Don't you love 2010, ladies and gentlemen? Well, if you want to know about the true horrors of Battle.net, there is actually a YouTube video of this. Someone took a YouTube video of me raging against Battle.net. Now, I'll have to see if I can find this. Let's have a look, see if it's there. Someone did post it, and I'll be damned if I can actually remember where they put it. It's on YouTube somewhere, and I'm sure I'll be able to find the link before the end of the show. No, it's not there. Someone in the chat room will probably find it for me. It's TotalBiscuit versus Battle.net. If you can find me the link, then by all means, send it over, and then I can post it for guys in the show notes. But the reason that I got so annoyed by it is we were trying to get a match together, and it just randomly kicked people out of Battle.net for no reason. And that wasn't the only time. And we were trying to do tournament play yesterday on Shoutcraft, and we had one guy who got disconnected 3 times at random from Battle.net for no apparent reason whatsoever. And the fact of the matter is that his connection was fine. It was solid. It was entirely fine. And yet... And good lord yet. Why? I don't see how you can break a system that has had 10 years to get better. Why? Why would you change it so much and make it so freaking unstable? Right, okay, I've managed to find that video for you so you can have a look at it after the show. Go to tinyurl.com/TB versus, that's VS-BNet. TB-VS-BNET. Go over there, that's the TotalBiscuit vs. BNet video that someone took off of the Shoutcraft stream. And the only reason behind that video, again, is to make a point that BNet right now is screwed, and they really have to do something about it sharpish. It's a bad system, it's inferior to their old Battle.net, and that is a huge step backwards, needless to say. It's not good at all, not happy with it, needs to be sorted out. It's not good for tournament players either, and it's terrible for esports, that I can guarantee. No chat rooms is a pain in the ass too. Okay. Other question. I don't think you've talked about the guild talent and specialization part of Cataclysm. What are your thoughts on this, and will this destroy small guilds and force players to join larger raiding guilds to get the newest and hardest content down? No, it won't. Here's the thing, we were told about this a few weeks ago on the show when there was a concern expressed by another listener, and I wasn't entirely sure myself. The answer is, it's only... the guild leveling only applies to the best 10 people in the guild. Yeah? So the top 10 contributors are the ones that, well, contribute. So, as a result, as long as you are in a 10-man or higher guild, you'll be fine. You'll all be able to earn. And indeed, I would imagine, actually, that the way that the earning happens, there's so many different ways to earn stuff, including doing daily quests, crafting, making money in the auction house, leveling up. Everything's got to be tied in together. So actually, I'd imagine casual guilds might even have the edge, because they do more of this crap. They do more daily quests, they do more stupid achievements, and all that kind of nonsense. They do a bit of everything, and I think by doing so, they're actually going to level more efficiently than hardcore guilds. Wouldn't that be crazy? Certainly possible. Not that hardcore guilds won't take the fastest path of least resistance once they work out how the system works. I'm sure that that will be figured out in the beta period. But yeah, you don't have to worry about it if you're a smaller guild at all. You are covered, you can get the full benefits out of it, and everything's wonderful and happy and awesome. Okay. Now, I don't have any more emails except for this one, which is freaking huge, and I'm going to deal with this one after the break, so I don't want to go into that one for too much detail. Funnily enough, this one ties in quite nicely, so I'll talk about this. It's from Mecha, from Jubai Thos, and he says this: do you think Blizzard will learn from Wrath of the Lich King in the way that normal level 80 dungeons are meant to be, blues and low-level gear, and heroics an option for better gear and challenge? Do you think Blizzard changes these sort of things, like making heroics piss-poor easy, to make people feel better? For example, doing a heroic in BC felt like a challenge, but in Wrath of the Lich King, they might as well give you a bottle of vodka so you pass out for 15 minutes while they plant rewards on you. Bottle of vodka, you see. Someone has run off with my bottle of vodka. I'm upset about that. I'm going to have to find it later. Maybe I drank it all. I can't remember. Yeah, if I can't remember, I probably drank it. Anyway, bottom line, do you think that Blizzard tried to make their player base feel better by making previously hard content easier just by naming it the same buzzwords with easier difficulty? Remember when 25 seems more hardcore? Sorry if my points are hard to take in. Australia. No, really, I do understand it. They're quite simple. Funny enough, actually, linking it back to StarCraft 2 for a second, they actually got rid of the Copper League, replaced it with the Bronze League, and put a league above Platinum called Diamond. It serves no purpose at all, I might add. No purpose whatsoever. It's just they bumped everything up one. Why? Because bronze doesn't sound as bad as copper, I guess. Copper upsets people. God. Oh, the delicate sensibilities of the internet, folks, ladies and gentlemen. Please jump off a cliff or drop down a well. Either of the two, or jump off a cliff into a well. Bonus points if you do a triple tuck in the meantime. Yeah, I actually think they are doing that, honestly. Heroic! We all want to be heroes, just for one day. Apparently. Maybe, maybe not. There is an element of it in there, I'm sure. The casual appeasement has been blatantly obvious over the course of this expansion. They've tried to claim that, oh, we're also appeasing the hardcore players, blah, 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 and technically they are, but you've got this strata of players, I've talked about this time and again, that are disenfranchised by the fact that you've now got easy and hard and no normal. Normal doesn't actually exist anymore, and therein lies the problem. They call it normal, but again, it's another example of what you were talking about right there. Normal modes. If they said easy mode, it would upset people. And that's what it is. When you're talking about it, this is the easy mode. 10-man normal TOC, 10-man normal Nax Ramus, 10-man freaking VOA. It's all easy, but you can't call it easy mode because that is psychologically damaging to people with eggshell feelings. Evidently, such people do exist because, good lord, the nonsense lately. Yeah, I think they are doing that, honestly. I think that has undoubtedly happened. And that's problematic. Hopefully they fix it in Cataclysm, but I am not convinced. I know they did say that they wanted to make some big changes to Heroics, bring crowd control back into the game, but then again, are they going to? Is it a false promise? I would imagine, with the beta period, they're going to be called out on whether or not that's the case. If the stuff is not hard enough, then the beta guys are going to go crazy and say, you broke your promise, you said you'd fix the things that you broke in Wrath, and as a result, you're a bunch of lying pig dogs. Hopefully that gets changed. Right, anyway, we'll be right back after the break with the illusion of choice. Indeed, a nice topic someone picked out for the MMO Champion forums, claiming that Wrath of the Lich King was the best expansion. We'll tear that apart after the break, folks. Yes, indeed. In the meantime, it's been a little while since I've played some In Flames, so I'm going to do just that. I have many tracks that I enjoy, but for the time being, we're going to go with episode 666. I'll be right back after this, folks. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Please. Music was removed to comply with copyright law. If you'd like to hear the music, tune into the live stream on Fridays at 8 p.m. GMT. That's 3 p.m. EST, only on CynicalBrit.com. Yes, indeed, folks, it's the illusion of choice. And what a corker we've got for you right here. I've not had a chance to read this post at all, so I'm going to go entirely blind on this one. Here's the introduction for you. It's from Zulkin of Senjin, and he'd like to give a quick shout-out to his guild inebriated on the Senjin Horde side for getting an ICC 25-man Lich King kill and making our way into hard modes. Congratulations, you've got past some of the boredom, and now you've got the slightly harder boredom. And it says this, hey, TB, I was wondering what you thought of this forum post made on MMO Champion. It's about this guy saying that Wrath was much better than TBC and Vanilla. For myself, I was just wondering what the hell this guy is talking about, with 90% of his information incorrect. I would love to hear your take on this post. I'm sure you would. And I'm sure it is in the spirit of constructive criticism, of course. I wouldn't insult someone like this. Don't be absurd. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm a nice guy. I like to help people. I'll help them jump down a well if they would like to do that. In fact, I would encourage them to do so. Alright, okay then. Let's have a look. I have posted this in the channel for your delectations. Let's read it. Accents may be applied. We shall see. Why Wrath of the Lich King is the best version of WoW. It added a lot to the game. It's an expansion pack! Of course it added things to the game! What did TBC have to offer? TBC gave us arenas. Yeah, of course, arenas don't matter. Arenas weren't any sort of significant addition to the game. One battleground, poor story progression in the content, unless you played Warcraft 3. Right, so in other words, poor story progression in the content, unless you played the story! For God's sake! So, unless you paid attention to, I don't know, the story, then the story progression was really bad. So, in other words, the story progression in Wrath is great because they just made a bunch of shiz up that you didn't have to even care about Wrath of the freaking Lich King or Warcraft or anything along those lines. It's like, hey, we're just gonna put this in here for the sake of it. Look at this, it's Ulduar. No mention of this in any of the other games whatsoever, but yeah, old gods, Yogg-Saron, Titans, nonsense, rubbish like this referred to in absolutely nothing at all. But yeah, isn't it a great story? God damn. What are you talking about? Slightly better specs. Right, okay, so you're saying that specs are better in the expansion content. TBC improved specs by giving us more abilities. Yes? Shadow Priest still hated life. What? Are you serious? TBC? I'm almost speechless. Guys, who was Shadow Priest in TBC? Did you hate being a Shadow Priest in TBC? Hell no, you didn't! You got given this unique ability that suddenly made you one of the most desirable raiding classes in the entire freaking game! Oh yes, obviously, Shadow Priest had it rough back in Burning Crusade. Am I right, guys? And the beginning of the Care Bear Alliance and Horde hippie talk. I have no idea what you're talking about. Honestly. At all. The heroics were not that great, trust me. No, I'm not going to trust you, because I did them all, and they were great. I started somewhere between the start and middle of TBC. Oh, in other words, so you started it when the heroics weren't as good as they were at launch. Right, okay, so you're crying about that then. I wonder what you're actually crying about. What you're actually crying about is I started in the middle, and not many people were doing heroics anymore, because, you know, they were actually raiding, and it was really, really hard. Oh, for God's sake, you got to get in there and got the key via Honored, and it may be, even if you joined at the right time, you didn't have to attune at all! God! Whiny crybaby right there. This is obscene. I'm not even half the way through a paragraph. There's 8 paragraphs of this crap. I'm not going to get to the end of it. He is so incredibly wrong. This is the most concentrated, pure, unadulterated, toxic wrong I have ever seen in my life. If you drank even a drop of this pure, concentrated, unadulterated wrong, you would keel over dead. It is the most deadly poison of the mind, which has invariably inflicted this guy. I've read 4 sentences, and I'm already barking mad. So, the heroics were not that great, so he says. Trust me, I know, because I'm a scrub that started halfway through TBC. I know what TBC was like. Bullshit. If you want a small 10-man guild, you got 2 raids. Yeah, we get the idea. Okay. 10-man raiding wasn't viable. 25-man raiding wasn't all that viable in vanilla either. What's your point? Things change. Big deal. I tell you, I will take Zul'Gurub and Zulaman and... Well, in fact, Zulaman, Karazhan, and I'll take Zul'Gurub and Anchorage over a lot of the instances we've got right now. Yes, indeed, separate 10-man content instead of repetitious versions of the same thing. That's terrible! Someone alert the media! Dear God. If you want to do 25-man content, you had bland-looking instances like SSC and TK. Oh yes, bland-looking instances. If you saw one room in Mech, you saw all of the Eye of Tempest Keep. What, you mean like Vault of Archivon, for instance? Or, let's see, the raid instance, which is one room in Wrath of the Lich King! Freaking TOC! Let me guess, this guy probably hasn't even done that, has he? He isn't aware of the presence of that bloody instance. How can you say that? Are you insane? Yeah, those instances were really boring, ignoring the fact Wrath obviously had the best and most original and diverse raid content. Let's ignore the fact that, 1, we've got 1 instance per tier, which means you say the same damn thing week in, week out for 6+ months, and we have 1 raid instance, which is a single round room! You can't be serious! God! You saw all of Eye of Tempest Keep. It's called a theme! It looks similar because it's part of the same instance. That was the point. The instances were themed together with their own coherent storylines. That was kind of neat. I liked that. Liked it more than we've got right now. Tell you that for a fact. If you saw 1 millimeter of any heroics of SSC, you saw all the canon. No, you didn't. You've never been in there. No, you did not see the whole frickin' thing if you went into 1. God. Talking out of your arse. Seriously. Hyjal was my favourite because it had fun. Hyjal was the worst instance in here! How can you be this wrong? You can't be serious. I love Hyjal, which is nothing more than a green hill with a tree on the top. And you're complaining about the other instances looking the same. It's a green hill with a tree. With waves that look like old mobs because they are. Reused models. Every last one of them except for Archivon. Archimond. Yes, Archimond. That's what I'm talking about. God, I assume in my mind it's sort of a mental association inside of Rorschach test. It's like, reused models. What's the first thing you think of? Vault of Archivon. How could you possibly? God. And then he goes on, he saw all the canon. Hyjal's my favourite, and didn't try to be the greatest thing ever. Just like TOC, actually, if you think about it, minus the trash, of course. Yeah, TOC is the worst thing ever, that's why. BT bore me to death on my 3rd run. What? BT's such a diverse instance with great bosses in it. I liked how Sunwell led into what we're seeing now to Wrath of the Lich King in terms of story and the start of phasing. Except it really didn't, did it? At all. I thought Gruul was a good guy. He helped me... Oh, shut up. Next paragraph. I'm not even going to get to the end of this. This is absolute garbage. What did Wrath of the Lich King give us? Well, that's simple. Heroics that at gear level offered the promised challenge. What promised challenge? There isn't any challenge. There isn't even crowd control. You could AoE the entire thing. You could AoE the entire thing when you started. I did it in next gear. I did it pre-next gear. No crowd control required in any of those instances at all. Don't tell me it's just because we overgear it now. That is not the case. I remember back in the day when we did those heroics, and no, you did not need to be overgeared. I was still wearing blues. And we pounced our way through it. We steamrolled the damn thing, albeit a little slower, because hey, we don't have the damage, but hey, easy enough. Man, has he even said a single thing that is right here? Instances added periodically so people who started mid to late in the expansion pack wouldn't be screwed over. What instances? What, the 1-5-man that took, 8 or 9 months to come out? And then 3 more, about 3 or 4 or 5 months down the line? That's not added periodically, any more than adding the 10-mans into TBC was periodic. Adding the, whatever the hell it was called, that thing over on the Isle. Yeah, that instance. You know what I'm talking about. Instances were added periodically in TBC as well. raiding as well. That's the point. Indeed, they added multiple instances. Screwed over because you started late? That's bollocks. It really is. There were so many pugs available. There were so many guilds who were just starting out. It was very easy to sort yourself out because all you needed was 10 people to get yourself the gear that you need to go into SSC, for God's sake. For God's sake, some of the Karazhan gear was better than the stuff in SSC and TK. God. I think Malygos was more epic than Vash or Kale. That's because you never did Vash or Kale. Anyone that actually believes that is a freaking idiot. Oh, for God's sake, Malygos. Phase 3, one of the worst design encounters in the entirety of the game's history. Awful in almost every way. Illa who? You've never been there. Phasing was a great success. Really? Where? Exactly. We've seen it maybe 2 times when it's really been used. It was used over in the Wrathgate. Yes, that was a great success. No, it wasn't. The quest that was attached to it was bollocks. The phasing was awful. It was really bad. Didn't work half the time. And for God's sake, if you got stuck in there and bugged out, you wouldn't be able to see anyone for days. Yeah, the phasing worked really well in there, didn't it? Oh, and of course, outside the Wrathgate, now it changes into fire and screaming. Constant screaming for months. Which makes no damn sense. What's the point in phasing when all you're going to do is flip it from one static scene to the other? A one static scene makes even less sense than the other. The fires wouldn't have been burning for 3 months. You wouldn't have screaming people for 3 months. They'd have gotten over it by then. I for God's sake, that's not post-traumatic stress. That's nonsense. Ulduar was godly. Okay, you got one thing right. Yes, it was. I loved how OS was the easiest and hardest raid at the same time, except it wasn't. The hard mod OS was pretty hard, and the others was easy. VOA was a fun addition. No, it wasn't. Wintergrass was a fun addition. No, it wasn't, because for 6 months, Wintergrass, indeed longer than that, made it impossible to do any raid content. But it's a good job, because there wasn't any worth doing to start with. To be honest, I think that was a ploy. Like, Blizzard. Damn it, we need to get some new raid content out. The guys are absolutely demolishing it. They're realizing that this recycled knack scrap is utterly awful. What we do? Well, if we use Wintergrass, we could bug out the raiding and lag it so much that no one wants to do it anymore, and then we can use that as an excuse, rather than the fact they don't want to do it anyway, because it's utter, complete, total tripe. God. And everything's very balanced in terms of PvP. No, it isn't. Never has been. I love the story progression so much. There isn't any. For God's sake. There is Lich King. We gon' kill Lich King. Naxxramas had nothing to do with anything. Trial of the Champions was a complete contrivance. So, yes, Mr. Alliance, Mr. Varian Rin, and Mr. Garage Hellscream, welcome to the Colosseum. We're going to have a little bit of a chat here to decide exactly how best to prepare our heroes for the task of assaulting the Lich King. How should we do it? Well, I can think of a few things. The first thing that I would do is ensure that we have...
Not 1, but 2 Jormungandr worms.
And what we're going to do is we're going to throw all of our heroes into that, and it will most likely slaughter a huge number of them. But it's okay, because the guys that come out at the end will be strong enough to fight, regardless of the fact that we just depleted our armed forces by about 85 to 90%, because they all got eaten by...
Not 1, but 2 Jormungandr worms.
The inanity of this post is unbelievable. It's been read 14,263 times. And I hope that every one of them realize that this guy's an idiot. I like the zones. Yeah, completely subjective. Christ. The zones in Northrend were better than those in TBC. No, they weren't. 80% of them was frickin' snow. So little originality. I've had it with this guy. I'm not even going to finish this post. What a utter essay on how wrong one single person can be. An indictment of his own stupidity. The fact that this guy is still on the MMO Champion forums and hasn't been laughed off after 822 awful posts indicts more so than him the rest of the damn MMO Champion forums. God damn it, I don't want to be anywhere near them. My name is TotalBiscuit. You've been listening to Blue Please here on CynicalBrits.com. Shout out... Oh, God, I'm choking on his awful. Shoutouts for the next 2 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Send them in the mode of CynicalBrit.com. Send me a message in the IRC channel. You can do that as well over Twitter or in the video chat over on CynicalBrit.com. Do it now! In the meantime, as we're waiting for this, let's Let's see what we've got. I have a few people I can talk to. The first of them is Hope and Despair. Hi, Hope and Despair. B-Drone's here as well, rocking out as always. Biangan, we appear to have some kind of crazy monster in the channel. Cradulus is preparing for war. Cordain, I can't even see because it's way too black. The Warden trying to bring a bit of colour and class to the channel. Myself, TotalBiscuit, who is looking very pasty as always. A crazy staring guy called Optic, which is a little bit disturbing, I must say. We can report him on cam if you so wish. Just click the report this cam button on his picture to get him the hell out of there. Good God. Let's get him. Saracen's dog, which is much more interesting than Saracen. Vaska, who is wearing some kind of hat, by the looks of it. And looks to be incredibly bored with the whole affair. And Hef is doing terrible content. Is that Nexramus? Are you in Nexramus? Seriously, I can't even zoom in to see it. I'm going to full screen it. Oh god, the blurry. I can't see anything. Ah, my eyes! They do nothing! Dear God in heaven. Ah. Right, okay, what else have we got coming in right here? I'm sure we can find something. A little mail, Twitters, IRC messages, many shout-outs coming in left side and even side. A shout out to the old Violent Noise crew, still on the Defiance Brotherhood, who I've done a few raids with. Indeed, that's one coming in from Kirov as well. Shout out to Dio. Can I have a song request? No, you can't. Please, Smashing Pumpkins. No, I don't play crappy music. What's your email to send a message? You think about? Okay, send me some damn shouts instead of bloody questions. Shout out to the Guild Envy on Ouchendoon EU for being the #1 guild on the server and 20 world something or other. The Violent Noise crew shout actually came from Saracen, incidentally. Sean Caster gives a shout out to his guild Knights of the Round on Alderman US. Shout out to Beery on Gnome Regon US, that's from Puppyzaurus. And an epic shout out to Cradulus for my awesome helmet. Or for his awesome helmet. Too bad, it's me, Blacksmith. I have no idea what to say. A shout out to Gary Coleman, who sadly passed away today. I actually can't remember who that is, but there we go. A shout out to me for Bloodlines Champions from Onin. A shout out to Nim for buying a PlayStation 3 and an Xbox 360, now playing Tales of Vesperia instead of WoW. Wow, you bought two great consoles and decided to play a JRPG. You're doing it wrong! Honestly, go get Valkyria Chronicles if you're going to play anything like that. Seriously, it's way, way better. Fantastic game. A shout out to the Warden and myself for finding out that we will spawn another future gamer, or Zergling if you prefer. Congratulations to the both of you. I'm done, ladies and gents. I am the hell out of here. You have been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Please, WoW's #1 shock jock show, only on CynicalBrit.com. We'd love to hear from you, so feel free to leave a comment on the Cynical Brit website or write a review of the show on iTunes. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.